y'all, and welcome to the Hillbilly Chicken Ranch. I'm Susan, your hostess, and another episode of the Resourceful Homestead. Today, we're going to be talking about health and wellness, especially for me. I'm going to give you the disclaimer off the front end that I am not a doctor, but you do need to check with your doctor before starting any of these items that I'm fixing to share with you, just to be on the safe side, and you can read my disclaimer in the description box below. So, today we're going to be dealing with the autoimmune disease lupus and inflammation that it causes in the body. It causes problems with your blood, it causes problems with your B cells, and it attacks your body. So it attacks your immune system. And then we're going to talk about type 2 diabetes. I am a type 2 diabetic, trying to get my sugar under control. And y'all, thankfully, my sugar is 178 this morning. Not too bad, but it could be better. So we're going to get it down lower as I exercise and work toward my goal of better health in my golden years. I'm excited about this. I hope that you are too, and maybe you'll learn something from me today. And you can give me some of your tips in the description box below this video. For this first segment, I will be reading off some cards that I made up because I don't want to forget anything. But we are making a Celtic salt soleil. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, instead of the Redmond salt soleil. And the reason I'm doing it is because Redmond salt is extremely expensive where I live at. Celtic salt is actually cheaper. I couldn't believe it. And then we're going to do a baking soda solution. And we're going to talk about some of the herbs that you have already in your pantry or may go out and purchase a few if you're missing them to make teas with for diabetes. So we're going to get into all of that in this program. So starting with the Celtic salt, it contains trace minerals that may potentially help with insulin sensitivity. You want your insulin to be sensitive, not spiking on you. So that's the ultimate goal here. Particularly with magnesium, proponents suggest that replenishing these minerals may support the cell's ability to respond to insulin and potentially stabilize blood sugar. What happens is our cells' receptors will not accept the insulin into the cell that the body sends over, and that causes insulin resistance. And we don't want that. So we're trying to trick our body into accepting that insulin and getting our body functioning more normally. Celtic soleil theoretically claims mineral deficiency can lead to confusing need for minerals for individuals craving sugar. Here's my testament to this. My magnesium levels stay low. I'm a diabetic. And so does the potassium. And that can lead to leg cramps. Have you ever gotten those night leg cramps and don't know how to handle it? Well, those two are really good for fighting those leg cramps. And those leg cramps are a sign from your body telling you that you're deficient. There are other signs, I don't know all of them, but that's two of the main ones. But mainly diabetics have a magnesium and a potassium deficiency. So for autoimmune disease like lupus, it involves chronic inflammation and stress. Electrolytes are crucial for nerve function, and some anecdotal claims suggest that a proper balance of minerals may help regulate the stress response, potentially calming the body's overreactive immune response. So Celtic salt will help with those areas. Let me flip my page. So general mineral support, trace minerals are essential for numerous bodily processes, including the immune cell function, which also has to do with the diabetes and the insulin resistance, by the way. The theory is that it provides a bioavailable minerals that may support overall health and recovery. So that's that card. I'm going to continue on because Celtic Soleil water will improve hydration and electrolyte balance. Unrefined salt contains trace minerals like sodium, magnesium, potassium, and calcium, which are considered electrolytes and may help the body absorb water more effectively. These minerals may stimulate the production of digestive enzymes, which may help with the issues like bloating and digestion. It's believed to contribute to a small amount of essential trace minerals to your daily intake, potentially for better sleep because minerals like magnesium help regulate stress hormones, the cortisol, that causes all this fat, and support the sleep hormone, melatonin, promoting a more restful sleep. And I can attest that I do get a better sleep taking my magnesium. I take a magnesium and a potassium supplement in the evenings. So on the back of this card, I have how to make the recipe for the Soleil solution. So we're going to save that card for later on as I go through that. Now we're going to get into the baking soda water, or you can call it sodium bicarbonate solution. It has a potential in treating inflammation diseases, particularly it's effective with the immune system. So we want to boost that immune system as much as possible when we have autoimmune disorders because we get sick easily. Diabetics get sick easily, and so do people with lupus and other autoimmune diseases. Some research links type 2 diabetes to chronic low-grade inflammation. There's that inflammation again. This theoretically could have a secondary positive effect on insulin resistance. So there we go. There's that insulin resistance. But high sodium in baking soda is a major concern for diabetics with high blood pressure. So you want to be very, very careful if you have high blood pressure. For autoimmune like lupus, the proposed benefit is that drinking baking soda water triggers an anti-inflammatory response in the spleen. Researchers believe it communicates a signal to the mesothelial, I'm not pronouncing that right, I'm sure, cells on the spleen via the vagus nerve, which is up here in your neck somewhere. And if you hum, you're activating that vagus nerve. This nerve regulates many of the immune responses, so you do want to hum throughout the day. That helps your body with the immune responses. Macrophage shift. Research has shown the potential that the population of cells called macrophages shift from M1 type, which promote inflammation, to M2 type, which reduces inflammation. This shift towards anti-inflammatory environment could potentially be therapeutic for chronic inflammatory conditions like lupus. Both Celtic Soleil water and baking soda are extremely high in sodium, leading to the risk of hypertension, kidney issues, in compromised health like diabetes and lupus. So always contact your doctor or consult with your doctor before starting. And you're not going to take them on the same day. So we're going to cut that issue down by not taking them both in the same day. So we're going to alternate between the two. And I think it's really interesting that we are getting to this point now. Baking soda water solution, or sodium bicarbonate solution, is an alkaline substance often used for a home remedy. Heartburn, acid reflux, it takes care of those, a natural antacid. It quickly neutralizes stomach acid, providing temporary relief for heartburn and indigestion. Enhanced athletic performance. Some studies show that sodium bicarbonate is used in certain doses may act as a buffer against lactic acid buildup in muscles during high intensity exercise, potentially improving your muscle endurance. Neutralizes oral acidity and may help neutralize mouth acidity, which is beneficial to oral health and plaque control. And I have a lot of plaque. When I go to the dentist, they have to remove plaque. So this might help me by using that as a rinse in my mouth or as a toothpaste. Balancing your pH and your digestive. Alkaline nature of baking soda is believed to help support a balanced pH level in the digestive system. Now, your body's pH is always going to be above 7, but this is going to bring your uric acid, when your urine, when you pee, it's going to bring your acid immediately down to about a 7, which is neutral. So that's what we're aiming for. We may not get there, but we can aim for it. So that is the reason that I'm bringing all of this to you. The next thing I'm going to talk about is this book, Amish Home Remedies book. This is 40 books in one. I'll put a link to this in the description box if you're interested in purchasing it. I am not affiliated. I did purchase this book myself because I was looking for some answers to my diabetes and some other issues. And this is chock full of Amish wisdom about a multiple array of ailments. And let me tell you, you have to look through every page to find what you're looking for in this book. So in the cover, I was looking at diabetes and I wrote page numbers at the top so that I could find the recipes quickly. For diabetes, one of the herbs that you would want to have on hand is fenugreek. So this is fenugreek seed, and I might take some of these out and plant them and see if they'll grow for me. But these are really good for helping to control your diabetes. Another one would be fennel, which I don't have on hand. I'm going to have to get it. I'm out of it. But it would be also a good one to put in a tea. Rooibos, I guess I'm saying that right, Rooibos. I found that in a tea form, and it's good for diabetics. Preferably, you would have sea-lime, cinnamon, and I found out recently that our local Mennonite store sells the sea-lime cinnamon sticks. This is regular cinnamon, but if you can't get the sea-lime, definitely get the cinnamon that you can get that is available. And I've got it here in powdered form as well. And those are, clove. Clove is good for diabetes, and so you can make a tea with this as well. And I'm going to show you a tea mix here in a little bit. And then licorice, which I don't have on hand. You can get the licorice leaves, I'm sure. I'm going to be looking for the fennel and the licorice and the sea-lime cinnamon sticks when I go back to the Mennonite store to add to my arsenal of diabetic tea-friendly herbs that I can use. And for circulation, you would use ginger, rose hips, and cinnamon verum. So it's another type of cinnamon that would help with circulation issues because that goes hand in hand with diabetes. I have polyneuropathy, so we're going to get into this. I'm going to show you how I make the tea at the end of this video. The difference between the Redmond salt and the Celtic salt is Redmond salt is dry, where Celtic salt retains its moisture. So this is a moisture dense salt, and you want to use at least 1/4 to 1/3 jar full, and I'm using one of these jars. You don't want to use metal lids. So I'm going to fill the jar up. So this is about a quarter full. I'm going to fill the jar up to about 3/4 full with water. And you want to use filtered water if you have it available. And you can already see the minerals coming out in that water. So I'm going to close my lid and give it a good shake. And what we're looking for with this is in the morning, after 12 to 24 hours, you should see just a little bit of salt on the bottom remaining, but all the minerals have leached out into that water. If you don't see that, you can add a little bit more of the Celtic salt to your water, let it sit for an additional few hours and see if it retains that little bit of salt at the bottom. And then you would take a teaspoon of this salt and add it to a full 8-ounce glass of water and drink it once a day in the morning on an empty stomach. Again, you don't want to use any kind of metal utensils to measure or stir with the Soleil solution, as salt can be a corrosive to metal. So this will last indefinitely at room temperature because salt is actually a natural antibacterial and antifungal. So there it is. Really simple to make. And that's just going to sit out on my counter. Of course, I'm going to label this, and I'm going to put on my label how much I use of the salt, how much water, and what the dosage is daily. And that way I'll have it for the next time I need to refill my jar. And this will last me probably a month or longer because I'm only taking a teaspoon at a time. In my next one, I'm going to grab a cup and I'll be right back. So this is an 8-ounce jar. I'm going to use that for my baking soda. I'm actually going to take it today because I haven't. But you're going to use a half teaspoon of this into 4 to 8 ounces of cold water. And so I'm just going to put that in there. I keep this little jar of baking soda in here. And y'all, Arm & Hammer is perfectly safe because bicarbonate does not contain aluminum. So you can use any kind of baking soda that you want. And then I'm just going to fill this up. And we're going to sip on this throughout the morning on an empty stomach. Okay, you want to make sure that you're not exceeding the recommended maximum dosage listed on the product's package, and do not use for more than 2 weeks. Consult a doctor if symptoms persist. Important, do not take baking soda when overly full from food or drink, as it can lead to stomach acid and produce gas, which can be dangerous if the stomach is distended. Also, avoid taking within 2 hours of medication, as it can affect their absorption. So here's to your health. And if you don't like the taste of baking soda, certainly add more water to it, because I use my big drinking cup and I'll just put it in there and sip on it throughout the morning. And then after that, I have taken in my alkaline intake for the day. So that's a really quick, easy way to take care of your health. So one recipe in here is ground cinnamon and dried fenugreek seed. Of course, it calls for raw honey. I'm not going to use the honey, but I thought what I was going to do is I was going to mix up all of these herbs and make 1 tea out of it. So it calls for 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. I may be adding more cinnamon. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But right now I'm just going to use a regular cinnamon. 1 teaspoon. and 2 tablespoons of the fenugreek. I would mix this together and probably add the rooibos red tea, just 1 tea bag, and I would steep this in a tea ball. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to find another recipe. We're going to continue to add the herbs according to the measurement. The next ingredient would be cloves, and I'm going to add, it calls for 3 whole cloves. So 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to add that in. And let's see what I've got next. Page 330. Okay. Actually, 301 has licorice. I would use about a teaspoon of ground licorice in this if I had it on hand. So we're going to go to, I think it's 325 is the next one. Yeah. Cardamom would be a half teaspoon of the ground cardamom. I don't have ground. And where's the cardamom? Oh, I do have ground. So half a teaspoon of the ground cardamom. $330 is the next page, and then I think that's it. Okay, if you're using the fenugreek or the rubios, it would be 1 tablespoon of the rubios if you have that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to mix this together. We're going to pour it into a pot. We're going to steep this, and then we're going to put it in a quart jar. And I would take a half a cup of this once a day as a tea. I'll strain it off after it's done. And that is the recipe that I'm going to be using today. Okay, I've had the rooibos tea steeping covered to capture all those essential oils. And this is steeped and started to cool a little bit. I've set up my jar. I've got a coffee filter in here. And I've got a strainer in here as well. We're just going to strain that liquid through. Let that drip until it is through dripping, and then we would cap the jar off. Of course, I will add more liquid in to fill my jar completely. So that captured a lot of that cinnamon in there. I'm going to add a little bit more water to fill my jar up. I'm going to measure out a half a cup of this liquid and add it to the rooibos. We're going to give this a taste test. Here's to your health. Now I'm drinking it straight, but if you don't like the taste, you can always add a little bit of monk fruit sweetener or stevia or something like that to improve the taste. I would not add the honey because that's going to spike your sugar. And I definitely would probably only do part of the ingredients that I listed off in a tea. You can mix and match until you find the flavor that you like, and bon appetit. I would store this in the refrigerator and probably use it up within a week's time. Of course, this is probably about 8 days worth of mix here, or a little bit more. But there it is, and it's not too bad. Since blood sugar spikes during the night and early morning hours, I think this would be a good tea to drink about 7 p.m. for the evening, and hopefully it will help lower the numbers in the morning. Let me know in the comments what you think about these 3 health benefit ways of creating a better health for me and well-being for my body. Let me know if you try any of these. Here's some content I think you might like. Thank you for visiting our homestead. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, hype, and share to help our small channel grow. See you next time for more simple living, frugal tips, and farmyard fun.